Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of my Titanfall casual series. Today's topic is going to be college, and I find this an extremely relevant subject. College is a special thing in my life. It actually, some people don't know this, I never graduated high school, and I'm not ashamed to say it at all. I wasn't ready, I don't think everybody's on the same timeline to say that every 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old is biologically, mentally, emotionally all prepared for the same standardized learning. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that I was ready for high school, to be honest. I was too much of a badass, a rebel. I wasn't really interested in what my teachers had to say. I didn't really respect them, and there's more interesting things going on in my social life and in my world to make time to go to school. So I actually dropped out my senior year. Of course, now as an adult, I regret it, but I don't regret the way it happened. I mean, everything, in my opinion, happens for a reason, and I just wasn't destined to finish high school. And so because of that, I was kind of thrown in the workforce really early on, about 17, 18. I had to work full-time to sustain myself, and I moved around a little bit before I got my own place. You know, I got kicked from friends' couches to, you know, uncles stayed with family and stuff like that, and kind of moved around. And I never really found happiness because all the jobs I worked were jobs where I was basically a servant for money. I served my job because I needed money. I needed to make rent. I needed to make, I needed to pay bills. I needed all the necessities that you need to live. So I had to work like the majority of people, and it was hell for me. I absolutely hated it. I felt imprisoned, and I felt like it was the worst mistake that I ever made in my entire life. And when I was around 22, 23, I decided that I wanted to go back to school, and I wanted to learn how to be a better person and how to do things in a better way than I was doing them, because they obviously weren't working out the way that I thought I could do it. So I was lucky, I'm lucky enough to live in the state of California, where if you are a first-time graduate and you are low income like I was, I come from humble beginnings. No one in my family has money to spare to afford to pay for tuition for college. So granted, I did have aunts and uncles and my mother I could lean on if I was in times of great dire need, like I didn't have rent or something like that, which, there were times like that. And I would lean on them, but the majority of it, I worked and I put myself through college, and the state of California helped pay for my 2-year degree. And I got my Associates of Administration of Justice in Palm Desert, California, and it was the most empowering thing in the world. I felt like I was a loser, I felt like I was a dropout, and I had no destination in life. And then when I got my 2-year degree, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm good at. This is what I can do. So, of course, I went on to the next step, which was to finish out my bachelor's at a university, where I transferred to Cal State Northridge, up in Northridge, which is like North LA, basically the valley. And I finished my bachelor's in criminology, and it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever fucking done. Like, when I graduated, it didn't feel like the end, but it felt like something that I personally needed to achieve to prove to myself that I could do it. Like I said, I come from humble beginnings. No one in my family, my mom, my dad, they never graduated college. So for me to pioneer new grounds for my little brothers and to show them that it is possible, we can't use the excuses of our forefathers or our ancestors for the lot of life that we live, or the lot that we were drawn in life. You can't make excuses, because that's not what success is. That's not what successful people do. That's not what leaders do. You don't make excuses for your life. You hold yourself accountable, and you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And I know a lot of sociologists will disagree with me and say that not everyone is granted the same opportunity. And it's ironic, because I firmly disagree. In my age and experience, I've become immune to bullshit excuses. I live my life by the fact that if mistakes happen, if I don't get my way, unfortunately there's some things you can't control, but the majority of it's just out of your control. It is your fault, and you have to live your life like that. You cannot go through life holding other people accountable for how your life is. And I know a lot of people like that. I grew up with a lot of, and it's not just specific people I have in mind. it's a specific personality type. Some people are just negative, and everything they have to say about something good, their response to something good is negative, and their response for, you know, how they live their life or how they're held accountable for their actions is just deflection, and they just deflect everything in the world, and they say, oh, well, my boss is an asshole, or, you know, I've been injured, or, you know, I can't do that, I don't have... And it's just excuse upon excuse upon excuse. And I find it all to be bullshit. And I hope that if you're listening to this and you're in your mid-30s or you're in your 50s or you're 16 years old and you're poor and you think that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, if there is a will, there's a way, my friend. And I know that sounds a little cheesy, but it's absolutely true. You know, I got into school late in the game. I graduated. There was a ton of people in their mid-30s, and there was a ton of people in their mid-20s who were just like me, had gone back to school. And I think it's perfectly possible, as long as you have the unquenchable desire to succeed. You have to have that desire, because if you don't have that desire, the filtration process of college will absolutely kick you back out into the real world. And when I say filtration process, you know, college is just basically one big filtration process. They're filtrating people who maybe, you know, oh, you don't like to stand in this line to get your free college financial aid money? Then, you know, go play with your friends. Oops, you know, you got dropped out of your classes because you didn't take care of your financial aid shit. Oh, you don't like math? Well, you can't pass your math class. You're not going to graduate. Oops, you know, back to reality, back to barely getting by. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still barely getting by in some aspects, but it's not like once you graduate, it's like, boom, I hit the jackpot, motherfucker. You know, you're greeted with a vault full of money. But there is a level of security and there is a level of clarity that wasn't there before. You have, you know, you have something to lean on. You have a degree. You have some sort of experience or expertise in whatever your major is, and you can always go back and get your master's. And so for me, you know, I really want to encourage anyone listening to this that, you know, I came from humble beginnings. I did not come from a privileged family. You know, we weren't on dirt floors, but, you know, I wasn't wearing new clothes either. So I think that if you have, and, you know, some parts of my life I was extremely privileged in some aspects, and other parts I wasn't. But I just want to encourage you, you know, if you have a will, if you have a desire to go back to school, you can totally do it. You just have to set your focus on it, and you have to not give up until you're walking down graduation aisle and you have your degree, because there's going to be a lot of obstacles. There's going to be a tremendous amount of obstacles, whether they're bureaucratic procedures, whether they're specific professor people, whether they're other people in a group. Maybe, you know, I had problems with people, you know, I do group projects and some people were just unbearable, and you just got to push through all of that bullshit and keep going at it. And, you know, maybe you can take this and this will be relevant towards life and your work too. I mean, you can really just push through all the bullshit. You just push through it and get through it, and you'll graduate. And for me, it's an amazing feeling to be a graduate. And I hope that anybody listening to this, thinking about going to school, thinking about, you know, getting back to school, it's never too late. And if you're making excuses, you're doing the same thing that I was talking about, that personality earlier, that just wants you to fail, wants you to just feel sorry for yourself, and blah, blah. That's bullshit. Don't listen to that. Listen to the one that's saying, no, you can do it. No, that's not a problem. Not a problem. You know, unless you're a head, you know, and I mean a head, literally a head, you have no excuses. You can roll your ass to class. If you got a couple nubs for arms, fucking walk there. If you don't have arms and you only have a couple nubs for feet, then roll your ass there. Do, you know, gorilla walk there. Do whatever you can do to get back in school. And if that's your desire, if it's not your desire, it's not for everybody. School is not for everybody, and I totally understand that, because some people just, everybody's different. It's not, you know, this isn't meant to be like a stand, oh, everyone should get in college, but I think if you're kind of thinking about it, you should totally do it. It's better that you regret that you did do it and didn't like it, as opposed to you didn't do it and you never got to say whether you liked it or not. So mistakes made, you know, it's a lot easier to regret mistakes that you've made than mistakes that you never had a chance to make. So I hope this encourages any of the young pups listening to the channel to get in school, or guys my age, get back, man. It's a great experience. You'll be so proud of yourself after you do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, favorite, and share this video. Helps rhinoCRUNCH grow. As always, I love you all.